Welcome back to another episode of AWS She Builds Tech Skills. So, we have a fun guest every time. And this one is one of my personal favorites because we've gotten to do a lot of work over the years together. So, before I introduce her, Brittany Wolfrom, for those of you who haven't met me on this stream, but excited to be here and chat with you. If you are new to streaming or new to this show, we are going to talk a little bit about what the topic is. Then we're going to jump into a live demo and then, of course, ask us questions. So before we jump into that, where are you joining from? I know I'm in Austin today. I had to just think about that because I just flew in this morning. And Neelam, let's do your intro and tell us where you're joining us from today.
Yeah, thanks, Brittany. Hello, everybody. My name is Neelam Koshiya. I am a principal applied AI architect at AWS. I am joining you from Seattle, and today it is, as expected, gray skies, a little bit rainy, but looking forward to the fall weather as well. And I'm excited to be part of this show. I think two of my most important passions are inclusion and innovation, and I think this is kind of bringing both of it together.
Oh, 100%. If you're just joining, I see a couple more people jumping on. Let us know where you're joining from. Would love to see that. And surprisingly, guess what the weather is in Austin today? It's not the normal. It is very cloudy and gray. So did you send some from Seattle today?
You never know. I think a lot of people will thank me to be away from the heat.
Yes.
So after the heat, I feel like the clouds are a good welcome change.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. It's not 99 degrees. It's like 85 and a little bit overcast, but it's definitely worth it. So, Neelam, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about production-ready AI agents, and we are going to be thinking about how to take it from a prototype to production. So here is the agenda. So we do have a very packed agenda today. We start off by doing an agent overview, answering these four important questions: why agents, what are agents, when to use agent and when not to use agents, and how you can build these agents, and the AI stack that we have to build agents. And then we will be looking at a little bit deeper into the Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, and what does it mean to have a production ready AI agents? Like, what are the characteristics it's supposed to have? And then we will be spending most of our time walking through or building an agent together and wrap it up with any Q&A.
So I'm super excited for the demo always, but I really want to double click on the part of when not to use agents. We haven't talked about this yet. I haven't seen that out there yet. So I'm very excited to dive a little bit deeper in that and understand a little bit more there. So with that, we do have to talk about agents to start. So I'll let you keep going.
Yeah. So the why, I think that's the first point that we're going to double click on. So according to Gartner, there was a survey that was done, and it predicted that over a third of all the enterprise applications will be powered by Gen AI, and specifically agentic AI by 2028. Now, the fact that we are in the fourth quarter, almost the fourth quarter of Q 2025, and we are at the invent of 2026, so within 2 years, you're going to have 30% of your enterprise landscape filled with Gen AI and agentic AI. I think that's amazing. And that might be a surprise for a lot of the folks on the chat today. Let us know what you think about this survey. And then 15% of your day-to-day decision making will be done by AI agents. And one of the top use case, if you look at Gen AI, there are three buckets. How do I improve customer experience? How do I automate business processes? And how do I improve productivity? And in line with a lot of the signals that we see here in the field at AWS, customer service issue resolution is one of the popular ones and a low-hanging fruit for a lot of our customers. And no surprise here that 80% of the customer service issues will be resolved by AI agents by 2029.
That is huge, especially as somebody, I started as tier one customer support, I guess you would call it, in IT. And the amount of times that I'm like, have you restarted your device? Have you unplugged it and plugged it back in? And the frustration you can hear by not being able to resolve an issue that quickly. If we're able to do that 80%, that is going to be amazing.
Yeah, and personally, I think Gartner is being a little conservative with these numbers, and we'll be surprised, when we go to 2029, the number of age, or 2028 for that matter, the number of Gen AI applications and agentic AI that we see around us.
Yep.
Okay. So now that we have talked about why we are talking about the agents, we are going to talk about the basic fundamental question of what is an agentic system. And I would think about it into these three blocks. First, the definition. When you think about an agentic system, it is an AI system which understands the environment and accomplishes tasks and takes action to accomplish those tasks. Now, the brain of an agent is a large language model. So it requires the large language model to help think, to help figure out, what task needs to be done, what action needs to be taken, etc. But the beauty of agent is that it doesn't sit in a silo. It sits in your existing enterprise application space, wherein all the databases that you have, the CRM system, the ERP system, all of those APIs, existing APIs, becomes tools. And what you're essentially doing is building these agents using an LLM, which are calling these existing, tools as such, and accomplishing tasks. And one of the other key characteristic you can think about is a memory. When you're having a conversation, it would have a contextual awareness, and for that, it would require some kind of a memory, maybe a short-term memory, maybe a long-term memory, things like personalization, a user persona, so that the task is accomplished in line with that context. And on the right side here, you can see all the characteristics. So autonomous task execution, it is autonomous. It looks at the action that it needs to perform and performs the task based on that. It has a goal. It is a goal-oriented behavior. So it has a goal, and to accomplish that goal, it will perform those tasks. It is contextually aware, and based on it is autonomous, and so it can do adaptive planning. So if things change, or if you ask a separate question or a different question, it should be able to adapt to that and figure out, oh, what should I perform next? And the most important thing, it doesn't work in silo. The beauty of building agentic system is it should interact with your existing business systems, whether it's internal, external, or beyond that. Okay, so next one, and I know Brittany, you kind of was excited to know more about it, but just want to highlight that when not to use agents and when to use agents. There is a saying that you don't need Ferrari for everything, right? So in the same way, I think you don't need to build agents for each and every use case. You should think about agents when you need the flexibility and a model driven decision making. So the task is complex enough and you need to stitch it all up together using a large language model, giving it the tool and the memory. And that's when the agent comes into picture. If the use case is simplistic and is deterministic and maybe it needs to be chained together, then for consistency and simplicity, you might want to just chain it together and build a workflow instead of building an agent. Do not use agents when simpler solutions can suffice. Even though agent is a cool thing to do, there are other considerations. For example, the cost, because you're using a large language model, which will be doing the thinking, and you will be calling the different tools for it, which can add to the cost as well as the latency. So you might want to think it through whether agent is the right solution for the business use case you have, or you can go ahead and do something which is more simplistic based on your use case.
I think this is really important too, because we all get really excited with the new tech that comes out. And I know with me, I'm loving agents. I actually created an agent that will order my lunch just by adding a couple prompts in my command bar because of how quickly the day goes by and getting double booked. So I think it's something that we're moving very fast, but we also have to remember to take a breath and make sure it's the right fit. Not just use the newest technology to use the newest technology, but to make sure it's the right fit for the long term. So Definitely something to think about there. We also have some folks joining from Chile and Kenya. We're definitely global today. Loving the fact that we have folks joining all over. With that, what do we have next, Neelam?
Yeah, so briefly talking about the evolution into the agentic AI so far, and it's not been, I don't know, a hot minute since new development comes into picture. But just want to summarize the evolution of the agentic AI. So on the left side, you can see that when we started off, there were a lot of generative AI assistant which tried to automate repetitive tasks. It followed a set of rule. It was more deterministic, but it required more human oversight. And on as we evolve from that, we see the emergence of the generative AI agents, which were more simplistic, did just one task, addresses broader range of tasks, and automates entire workflow. But now we are in an agentic AI system wherein it's fully autonomous. It uses more complex orchestration, so it uses multi-agent system, and it's trying to mimic a human logic and reasoning. And when you look at some of the use cases that we see, they are now capable of tackling more complex use cases. For example, autonomously diagnosing and remediating, not only giving a diagnostic of what went wrong, but also remediating it. And even generate and deploy a full stack application using a single prompt. So we have moved from a more predictable one to a more complex, fully autonomous, requiring less human oversight.
Mhm.
Now, even before I can talk about our agentic AI stack, I want to highlight what our vision is. So, our vision is to provide our customers a platform and a flexibility wherein they can build AI agents and keeping the core fundamental AWS value proposition in mind, that is, performant agents which are reliable, secure, and at scale. Now, next up, I'm going to kind of help you think through how our AI stacks is divided, but you can think about it as to three buckets. First is the agent application that are built for a specific persona, for example, for builders or for business users. And then the second bucket over here is the tools which can help you build these agents, and Strands, which is our SDK to build agent sits there, for example. And then the bottom one is our AI foundation, and that's the layer that we are going to double click, and our demo walkthrough is going to be based on that. But having this mental model, I'm going to show you our AWS AI stack. And if you think about this, we call it as a hamburger architecture. You can see that the bottom layer consists of infrastructure, wherein you have, the chips, which like AWS Trainium and Inferentia, the GPUs, and it supports a complete control for our data scientists and developers, or data citizen, as we call them, to do fine tuning, have full control and governance in place. So it provides you that infrastructure. The middle layer is where Amazon Bedrock sits in, and it's our fully managed service, which provides you the capability to build generative AI application. And that's where you can see Agent Core resides. And there are, 6 different pieces under Agent Core. And the way you can think about it is these are Legos, and you can pick and choose what makes sense for you. It provides you the flexibility as well. You can pick any third party model from the popular providers, or you can additionally connect with other third party providers which are not available on our platform as well. And then on the top layer, we have these persona focused application, for example, Amazon Q. We have the Q Dev, and we have the Q Business. QDev is built for builder persona, which can help you to create code, generate code, unit test, and so on and so forth. And then Q Business is for those business persona who want to derive business values out of the existing data without having to, have the data scientist help them build these applications.
So I have a question for the chat as we're jumping into this. All of you that are on here, what are you using today when you're going through? Are you using Q for Business? Have you tried out QCLI? That's my favorite personally. Have you done some strands with them SDK work? Have you tried out, who knows, Amazon Bedrock Agent Core? What have you tried and what tools have you explored as we're going through this? There's so many out there and so many different connectors. So I would love to hear what you're using.
Okay.
All right. As the chats are coming in, let's just keep on going.
Yeah, so we are going to double click on Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. And you can think about it as the service which sits in the middle layer. It provides you the fully managed capability to deploy, operate agents securely at scale using any framework and model. And I'll double click a little bit more on what I mean by providing you full flexibility, right? If you look at AI agent in a nutshell, these are the components, right? You provided a goal or instruction, you provided the tool and the context. The agent would take all of this and it will perform action on specific environment. And of course, it is the brain of an agent would be an LLM. And some of the key pieces over here, which makes building AI agent complex, are these. So, first of all, you have to make sure your agents are autonomous. So, you want to make sure that you provided all the context. You have the capability of using any open source framework to build these agents, so that you're not locked into a specific platform. Um, and then you need all the tools and tool execution. You want to make sure that there is a orchestration between the different actions that are happening. And not only this, you want to think about security, you want to think about scale, you want to think about reliability as well. And in order to help simplify building AI agents at scale, Amazon announced the Agent Core, Bedrock Agent Core. And I'll be diving deep into some of the 5 components here, but also I will be showcasing this as part of our demo walkthrough as well. Okay. So you can see, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I was just saying awesome.
Yeah.
I love a good architecture diagram, especially because we can't whiteboard very easily on Twitch. So when I can visualize
Yes.
and see it in action, I'm in.
Yes, I agree. +1 on that, right? So the blue boxes that you see are different pieces which comprises within the Bedrock Agent Core. And each of these pieces are plug and play. If you want to use it, you can use it. Or maybe one piece only, you can go ahead and build an agent using just that one piece, or you can use all of these, or combination of these. So these are, think about these as Legos. Now I'm going to start off with the first piece, which is the center of the Agent Core, which is the Agent Core runtime. Agent Core runtime is a serverless runtime purpose-built um, uh, runtime wherein you can deploy and scale dynamic AI agent using any open source framework. So you can see the first piece in that, which shows any framework. So right here, any framework, and you can build agent using LangGraph, True AI, Strand AI, or any protocol, honestly, and you can use any model. I think that's the second biggest value proposition. You use any framework and any model, and you can see you OpenAI, Gemini, or our own in-house Amazon Bedrock models as well, which are hosted in Amazon Bedrock. You can do that. And then the runtime was built to work with agentic workloads with industry-leading extended runtime support. So it will not have issues like fast cold stats. It will have real, true session isolation, built-in identity, and support for multimodal payload. For example, input as an image or an input as an audio or video. It will be able to support that, and hence it will help you accelerate the time to market. Okay, so we talked about runtime. What comes next? I think the biggest concern with GenAI generally is the security. And for that, we had the agent core identity, which provides a scalable agent identity and access management which capability, which can help with your AI agent development. And the beauty is it is compatible with existing identity providers. So for example, if you have Okta, Bing, any of these identity provider already, you don't have to worry about rebuilding an authentication flow. The agent core philosophy is to minimize these the fatigue which comes with the token walls, and token authorization, permission delegation, and it works great with existing tools that you might be using already, for example, IDP. Next up is the memory. Remember, I think one of the core fundamental was the context awareness when we look at the definition of the agent. And memory, as the word suggests, it is actually a memory which provides you a way to build a context aware agents by eliminating complex memory infrastructure management, providing you full control of what the AI agent remembers. And it has both short term memory for multi-turn conversation or a long-term memory, which can be shared across different agents and different sessions as well. Next,
Awesome.
and we will be touching. We will be when we do our walkthrough. We will be looking at all of these pieces, so you will get a more um, um, dense experience on what really means by or what short term and long term memory. We'll be diving a little bit deeper on that as well.
So we
Next,
do have somebody newer to AWS currently using Amazon Q Developer and getting started with Agent Core. So this is perfect. Keep your questions coming in the chat uh,
yes,
for
yes,
as we go through because it's
yeah.
almost demo time. We're about a minute out from demo.
Yep. And I'll briefly walk you through the agent code interpreter. So basically, like the name suggests, it helps you to securely execute code in a isolated sandbox environment. Agent Core browser, like the name suggests, it provides you a cloud-based browser runtime to enable the agents can interact with websites at scale. And then the gateway, which we're going to see it in our demo as well, provides you a way to discover and use tools. So you can use the existing APIs, Lambda function, and services as agent compatible tools when you're building agents. And the last one, as the name suggests, observability. It provides you all the developers trace, debugging, monitoring information, performance information in a unified operational dashboard. Okay, now our session name is Production Ready AI Agent, and while we touch base on those different components, I think when you think of Production Ready AI Agent, these are the things that you need to think uh, first. First is flexibility on model choice and framework. We all know every day you wake up, you hear a new model getting announced, a new paper release, a new framework coming into picture, and when you're building production ready AI agent, you have to think about platform that can help support that. Security and trust, identity management is another pillar that you will have to think about. Seamless integration with the existing environment that you might have, existing business systems, and adding those tooling and capabilities on top of that. Observability, and then of course very AWS centric, where we say reliability and scalability, which is a core foundation of all of the AWS services that we have. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a demo walkthrough.
Awesome. Let's get ready to demo.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I did a git clone of this particular repository, and Brittany will put the link of this and we will share at the end of the session as well. And this is a great repository for all those beginners who are thinking, hey, this looks too hard or too complicated. How do I get started? And this is a one-stop repo for you. Also, once you have familiarized yourself with this repo, I highly recommend to, fork it and, help us build on this open source project that we have over here. Okay. So what I'm doing is I am git clone this particular repo, and I'm using SageMaker AI for this. I'm using Jupyter Notebook For folks who are not familiar with Jupyter Notebook, think about it as a place wherein you can write code and you can also write markdown information like this. So it's almost like the word notebook. It's almost like a notebook wherein you can read through and understand systematically what's really happening when we are running these particular labs.
So I have a question, Neelam. I know you've always done Jupyter Notebooks. That's like your favorite
Mhm.
place. Why, like, what is, well, if you had to name like the top three things, and I'm putting you on the
Mhm.
spot, the top three things of why using Jupyter Notebooks works really well, especially as we're going from prototype to production.
Mhm. Yeah, so I feel like a lot of data scientists will tell you when you're doing experimentation, you're not necessarily, you're prototyping. You're trying to figure out if the business solution, if the business outcome is delivered by this one. You will go through a lot of experimentation, etc., along the way. And Notebook can be a great way for you to get started on, to clear your head, clear your thought, and write it in this notebook. Literally, when you do writing, that's how it helps you to do that. And then a lot of these code cells can then be packaged as Python code and run on any compute of your choice. And that's what exactly we would do, is we are going to build all these code cells, and which will call the APIs and SDK for building agents. And this is necessarily a way for us to call those SDK and uh, uh, arrange our thought and our code so that anybody else who wants to do the same thing can just go through the notebook. And it has all the comments and the details about what's really happening.
I love that because it's not always easy to share things
Yes.
across the board, and this makes it very easy for us to share.
Absolutely, yes. And I'm going to the use case that we are going to use in this lab is very generic one. So basically, we are building a customer support agent, and you can think about this customer support agent as a customer support for a electronics shop, maybe, right? And it has three tools. So it has get return policy, for example, returning a specific product, what is the return policy, get product information, and then web search is basically searching the web for any troubleshooting help that might be required. So these are the three tools. I mean, this is a very fictional use case, but I'm sure it resonates with a lot of our audience here. It's a very simple use case you in your life might have gone through or maybe served as a customer support as well. So, just thought of using something simple to showcase the how to build an agent.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. So what we are going to do is, here is the architecture diagram. So we are going to build as part of the lab one, we are going to build the support agent. We are going to define the three tools. And of course, we need the brain of the agent, which is an LLM. And we are going to be using the Amazon Bedrock, one of the LLM, which is served under Amazon Bedrock platform as the brain of it. Okay. Now, first up, we have a requirement.txt, which is having all the libraries, all that needs to be installed. So we are going to do the pip install here and import all the libraries. And then we are going to start off by defining our three custom tools. So it's very simple. We are using the Strands agents framework to build this agent, but you can use any framework of your choice. And the GitHub repo that I shared with you has all the different examples within it as well. So you can see the different framework examples like AutoGen, Crew AI, LangGraph, LangChain, you name it. I'm using Strands agent. And the reality is you can use any agentic framework. So the way you define the tools in Strand agent is by just one annotation. So you can see the add tool, and like a regular Python function, I just define what needs to happen in this particular code. So you can see it says the get return policy. I'm going to pass in the input as a product category and then get the return policy detail as the output. So that's the first function. Similarly, I have written a second function wherein it gets product details. Again, all of these are hypothetical, and we are specifying some of the information here as part of this code. But in reality, it would be something that you would look up your real database or your inventory management system, for example, as part of your definition of the tool. And then the third tool that I have over here is a web search. Basically, I am using the DuckDuckGo, which is a very popular Python open source library, and I'm trying to go and browse the web for some of the issues which might require some of the um, web search for troubleshooting. For example, it's just a example. So I have the three tools defined. Great. What next? So in this step, I am actually defining what the agent, how to create an agent and what the agent would be, and then we will be testing out. So we will be importing these two libraries. So from strands, the agent, and then models, because we'll need a model to be the brain of the agent, right? And for the model, I'm going to be using the Anthropic Law 37. You can change, according to your preference. For example, I'm just using this for as part of this example. And then temperature is another setting that you can set to for a lot of creative tasks. You can keep the temperature to be a little bit more liberal. For more deterministic tasks, you can minimize the value of the temperature. And then I'm providing the system prompt here. So I'm saying, hey, you are a helpful and a professional customer support agent that is working for a electronics company, and this is what you're supposed to do, and these are the tools that you'll have access to.
So we
And
get a couple things happening in chat. I'm going to interject right before we get into the next one.
go ahead.
So we have a call out. Audit is also a key for production. So +1 to that. For those of you who don't know the Amazonian terminology, +1 means yes, agreed. Definitely a thumbs up type of response or a high five. And then there's a question for you. How do you check the performance when creating a use case with these agents?
Yeah, so we do. That's a great question. And agent core observability comes right there into picture, wherein you can figure out the tools that were used, how much time it took to help complete the customer request, all the performance parameters. Even when you do evaluation or testing between different agents, I think not only the fact that the three main evaluation parameter like the cost, latency, and the accuracy, as we call it. But with the agentic use cases, I think it's a little bit more tricky because you have to figure out was the right tool invoked? Did the tool respond back the way it's supposed to respond back? Was that response taken into consideration correctly? So when you're evaluating an agent, I think it becomes a little bit more complex and broader than just plain Gen AI.
Yep.
And observability is one piece of it, wherein you can audit, oh, hey, this was the input, this is the thought process, this is the output. But then making sense of these logs and evaluating the different pieces, I think that maybe we'll have to do another session for that, Brittany. But that's the
Yeah.
thought process we have when we think about agents.
That could be a whole nother session. If you all are interested, let us know, because I know Neelam does a great job of breaking it down for cost, latency, checking the logs, making sure everything's invoked. That could be a whole nother 90-minute build session for sure. It's very interesting. But I think the other key thing here to just note is making sure that it's addressing the business case should be number one. Because I think sometimes we jump in like really quickly and we want to build something. At least I do, because I get excited because I don't get to build every day. And then we have to make sure that we're utilizing and we're measuring the things that are most important and staying in those budgets and those response times.
Yeah.
Oh, there's actually a follow-up question.
Uh-huh.
As there are different use cases involved, any suggestions or recommendations on selecting one?
You okay? So I think you can draw we have a graph that you write. Basically, you plot the use cases against the complexity and the business value that it drives. A lot of the customers prefer doing low hanging fruit, especially for organizations who are newer to generative AI or agentic AI. They try to do low hanging fruit, which is not really complex, but helps give the confidence and the learning that is required. A lot of the other customers who have already the plumbing and the in-house skill set and resources, they'll go for the use case which has the biggest business impact, but can be complex at the same time.
Yep. So it's definitely, I would say, when I've worked with customers on selecting use case, we look at a couple things. We're going to look at, like you said, complexity, business impact, and then the third thing, which sometimes gets not looked at as heavily and should be, is the skills of the individuals building it. So are they going to have to get skilled up on this? Are they already skilled in this? Like, so that's a time to value effort that also has to go in there. Great questions. Keep them coming. I'm just double checking. All right, Neelam, back to you. I think we are good on questions for now.
Okay, sounds good. We have defined our tools. Great. We have defined our system prompt, which model we are going to use. What does it mean to build an agent in Strand? And it is literally one line of code. As you see, I just define my agent, tell it, hey, this is the model you have to use. These are the tools that are at your disposal for this particular agent. And this is the system prompt. And voila, my agent is created. And you don't really need to deploy it anywhere. You can just run it locally on your favorite IDE, for example, Visual Studio Code, or if you have a Jupyter Lab on your local machine, you can do that. Or plain just write Python code as well and run those Python files. And now that we have built our agent, why not we test it out? So I am invoking the agent that we just created and asking a simple question like, what's the return policy of this particular laptop? And here is the response that it comes up with. So it says, I'm happy to help you with it. Let me take a look at it. And then it will provide you information. Hey, by the way, I'm using tool number 1, and I'm going to be getting all the information based on tool number 1. So here is the information defined as part of our procedure. And then it's, helping pass on that information to the user. Now, for a lot of the tracing, you can make sure that you trace, have the trace enabled, and you can put it in your whatever is your favorite place to put in. For example, CloudWatch log if you're in AWS. While this is put up in the traces, you may or may not want to showcase it to the user, which is perfectly fine, and you can only showcase these things to the end user. But it just took us literally 5 lines of code to build an agent using the Strands SDK. Right now, it's running locally, but you can run it on any of your favorite compute platform, including containers or EC2, ECS, EKS. But we will be deploying this on Bedrock Agent Core runtime. Now, go ahead.
Nope, I was just saying, all right, I'm getting
Yeah.
excited. We're getting
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to do some troubleshooting because we want to make sure that our agent is able to browse the web for the troubleshooting. Remember, the tool that we defined for troubleshooting was actually going and browsing the web. So, here's a question that we have put in. I bought an iPhone 14 last month. I don't like it because it heats up. How do I solve the problem? And you see, the first thing is it's using the tool to get information about iPhone 14. It could not find any information related to this. So it says, okay, I don't have that information. Let me go and browse the web for it. And it goes and browses the web, and it finds the things to try out in case of heating up of the iPhone, and it lets the user know about, hey, these are the things that you can do, and let me know if you want any information about the return policy in case you decide to return. So it is able to think and mimic as a real customer support agent would do if it is a human who's supposed to help resolve this query from the customer.
I love this too, because being somebody who's been in support, you really want to be able to give everyone the right attention and go through the details. So this almost frees up individuals to dive deeper into more complex problem solving, and then essentially will give more time for innovation and creativity when fixing these things. But also, this is a friendly reminder, human in the loop, because when the responses come in, you still want to trust but verify.
Yep. And in addition to that, plus one to that, what Brittany said, I think a lot of a customer interaction, they always want to get feedback. So most of the times you would see a thumbs up, thumbs down. And if it's a thumbs down, you will have a pop-up show up wherein you can put in the details as to why it was a thumbs down, because that really helps to enhance the agentic AI application to do much more better. Maybe it can be a feature that needs to be added. Maybe there is a change that we need to do, or a new tool that needs to be added to help improve the overall customer experience while interacting with this agent.
I love the fact that this can also be used to keep your knowledge base up to date too, depending on how you do it. So I have seen customers where they've actually utilized this, they implement it, and then as they're getting the feedback, any thumbs up, thumbs down, that also triggers an SLA response,
Mhm.
server level agreement response for the knowledge articles, to then have that team or that product owner go update those as well. So it really helps bring it well rounded and make it a little bit easier, because before, if an article was not up to date and somebody was searching it, you may not have gotten that interaction. We haven't traditionally had that in our technical, I would say, knowledge articles. Sometimes we just create a new one. Other times we don't update them. I know I've been guilty of not updating my knowledge articles in time. So it's
Yeah.
another use case that can be built on this simplistic use case to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So, time check, Brittany, do we have 5 minutes? How much time do we have?
We have about, we'll say, 10 minutes total. So if you have questions, get them in the chat now. And Neelam, you can keep going.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip through from my first lab. I'm going to skip through to lab number 4, wherein we build this agent, which gets which with the tools and which has integration with the LLM. But we are going to add the other pieces to it. For example, integrate it with the memory, have a gateway of a sort to interact with the web search so that you can have an MCP interaction. Instead of making a single API call, you can have an MCP protocol to go out to the web, get the information, and then, of course, make sure that you are adding the authentication and authorization so that your answers are based on your permission. So, in addition to the questions that you ask, your permission set, or the ACL as we call it, is also passed along as well. So, in the lab 4, we're going to bring all of it together. And if you look at the code over here, very similar to what you saw earlier, you have an agent which we defined using the strands. I'm passing in the model. Of course, I pass in the tool and the system prompt. I'm passing in the memory details using the memory hooks. So you have the concept of hooks wherein you're passing the memory hooks for the memory and contextual maintenance. And then I'm defining the Bedrock Agent Core app, and using the annotation at app.entry-point, I'm saying, hey, whenever this is the agent for this particular Agent Core app, and I pass in the agent which we have defined here as part of the invoke definition. So basically, literally 4 lines of code to have this agent production grade ready with all the authentication, the memory pieces, the gateway, all of it built in. And you just have to do app.run, and that's it. You have your agent core runtime running that customer support agent.
Awesome. I love how simplistic this is to look at this too. So back to being in Jupyter Notebooks, the ease of having your code right next to the explanations of what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think even if we end this session and you want to read through all of this at your own pace, it's almost like reading a book, but executable book. So you have all the steps and you can run all these cells and make it work for you.
And what's cool about that is you don't have to do this specific agent use case. You can use
Yes.
this as a framework and then go through it and kind of modify as you need it for your use case specifically. And then I always say start small, build bigger. So this one is using 3 different use cases. Maybe you start with one, test it, then add a second, test it.
Correct.
Make sure you're definitely going iterative here. Because we all know how it goes. If we try to jump with both feet in the water and too many use cases,
Yeah.
analysis paralysis may happen.
Absolutely. And you can see the way you have to invoke that specific agent is very straightforward as well. You just use the invoke method. I'm passing in very similar use case, customer, iPhone related query here. and the agent core runtime, where the agent is is hosted, our support agent is hosted, is able to respond back, and you can see the JSON response that is sent back to the user, where it is providing all the details of what it's supposed to do to help you resolve that, the disconnectivity with your Bluetooth.
Awesome. I don't see any questions in the chat. Chat, we have about 5 to 10 minutes left for us to answer questions if you have any. So make sure you get them in the chat if you do. But Neelam, I do have some questions for you that have come up in other streams that I want to make sure I ask. But we'll see if the folks have any last minute questions or if there's anything else you want to share before I jump into my questions.
Yeah, I just want to show that the use case that we walked through is part of the 01 tutorial in the GitHub. And while the tutorial familiarizes you with the service, I think the most value that the audience here can get out is to look at the use cases. How do I build an end-to-end, for example, a market trend agent, which will be like an intelligent financial analysis agent and help you provide a real-time market intelligence, stock analysis, and personalized investment recommendations. So you can build something of that sort. And using this particular library, just literally 5 lines of code, and you will have a personalized market analysis for you. So I would highly recommend take a look at these use cases and build on top of it to understand what the real world application of these agent could be and how to build it using Amazon Bedrock Agent Core.
Yep. And if you want to do that one specifically, it's funny that you picked that one because Trevor Spiro and I actually did this one a couple of weeks ago live on the training and certification AWS Twitch channel. So there is a recording out there if you want to go step by step with us and kind of go through and see how it works. And then we can always talk about how the demo gods did not really love us in that stream. So we got to run into quite a few errors, which was really good because they're errors that you would typically run into. So as a learning experience, it was really nice to go through that live.
Yeah. So in order to, not be reliant on the demo gods, I do have the market trend running here in my Visual Studio Code, and I'm just going to show you the input and the output. We have the agent which got deployed into Agent Core. I'm passing it the broker profile. Hey, here is my broker profile. And here is the agent response. So it came up with a personalized market briefing for me, and it highlighted why it did what it did, what is the focus area I should have, and what are the investor opportunities I'm supposed to consider, etc. And then when I had a follow-up question, what's the latest news on cryptocurrency, it was able to provide all the information on that as well. So very intuitive use case, very relatable for many folks who want to understand the very volatile market trend lately. So hopefully it would resonate with most of the folks here.
And I always say when you're doing that one, it is awesome because I would say 2.0 of that is actually going through. And for me, it was making a retirement analysis based off of the market today and the market historically and what I should anticipate over the next few years. So very, very fun to go through and start with a use case like that and then see where you can expand and what you want to see more of. So I know we are getting close on time. And there's always a top question that we get asked on this show. And I want to ask you, Neelam, if somebody wants to do what you do, what would you recommend to them today?
Yeah, so I would say my background is engineering. So I did not study data science in school. English is not my first language. Let's just start with that, right? I feel learn and be curious. Sounds very Amazonian, but I think it's important to be learn and be curious, to learn, upskill on all the lovely resources. And most of this are free. You can do it all hands-on, try to do all the learning and also implement it as well and apply it as part of your job. So I would think learn and be curious is the biggest one, and then bias for action. Don't just learn it and let it be as something that's on your resume, but use it and apply it. And that's my role, like apply AI to deliver business outcomes. And this could be small things, and this can also seed a lot of the startups as well, because we see a lot of startups in AI as well.
Awesome. So with that, I would like to thank you for spending the last 50 minutes with us. Any last words of advice for the group?
I would say this is an awesome era that we are living in right now. Just use this opportunity to ride the AI wave, honestly. Whether you're a developer, a data scientist, a business analyst, a completely non IT person, I feel this is the right time to ride the AI wave.
Awesome. So you heard it first. Go out and try it. Take one of these use cases, walk through it. It's definitely something fun you can do. And Neelam, thank you so much for joining us today. And with that all, we will see you next time. See you later.
Thank you.